cool down, so I'm going to read outside. But there's a lizard in my chair, so I'm sitting in the other chair.
Welcome to a new reading vlog. This one we are going to be reading my book club pick, which is Divergent by Veronica Roth. But let's look at the weekly TBR as a whole. I start my days with the New Poets of Native Nations, edited by Heidi Erwich. This is New Poets of Native Nations gathers poets of diverse ages, styles, languages, and cultures to present the extraordinary range and power of new Native poetry. Now we have our big focus. This is a reread. I read this book originally back in the early 2010s. Let's see what it's about. In Beatrice Pryor's dystopian Chicago, society is divided into 5 factions, each dedicated to the cultivation of a particular virtue: candor, the honest; abnegation, the selfless; and dauntless, the brave; amity, the peaceful; and erudite, the intelligent. How was I pronouncing all those when I was a teenager? On an appointed day of every year, all 16-year-olds must select the faction to which they will devote the rest of their lives. For Beatrice, the decision is between staying with her family and being who she really is. She can't have both, so she makes a choice that surprises everyone, including herself. During the highly competitive initiation that follows, Beatrice renames herself Trish and struggles to determine who her friends really are and where exactly a romance with a sometimes fascinating, sometimes infuriating boy fits into the life she's chosen. But Trish also has a secret, one she's kept hidden from everyone because she's been warned it can mean death. And as she discovers a growing conflict that threatens to unravel her seemingly perfect society, she also learns that her secret might help her save those she loves, or it might destroy her. Debut author Veronica Roth burst into the literary scene with the first book in the Divergent series. Dystopian thrillers filled with electrifying decisions, heartbreaking betrayals, stunning consequences, and unexpected romance. I'm going to be starting this. It is available on Kindle Unlimited, so I will be reading it on my Kindle. Next, we have my mood read, which is The Secret Life of Bees by Sue Monk Kidd. This is a South Carolina book. We love that. It's set in 1964. We have a little girl named Lily, who her caregiver, who is a black woman named Rosaline, she gets arrested one day for having an incident with a group of racist white men. Obviously, in the 1960s in South Carolina, that is not really ideal. So she gets arrested, and then Lily breaks her out of prison, and they go and try to start a new lives for themselves with this group of sisters, what's their last name? Boatwright sisters, who run this beekeeping farm, and they are just reshaping their lives and trying to find what love means, I think, is one of the main themes here, and that the Holy Spirit's lady is in everything. Lastly, we have my ebook, which is Star Wars: The High Republic, Light of the Jedi by Charles Soule. I am only like 5% into this book, the first 2 chapters. Getting back into reading Star Wars books, haven't read one in a while, but this is when the Republic is kind of in a renaissance. But we have had a civilian craft, like where they're transporting civilians, get destroyed, and now we've had another aircraft or spacecraft get destroyed. Who is causing this? Because the Republic has been at peace, it's been in a time of prosperity, but now stuff's hitting the fan. And those are the books that I'm planning to read this week. I did get to the 50% mark in New Poets of Native Nations just now. I usually tell y'all about the last poem that I read that I liked, but this little section from this poet I didn't particularly like. This is Julian Talamontes Burlesque. I didn't like the use of language and then changing how words are spelled. It just made it really difficult for me to read. I typically read poetry out loud. I was really struggling with that, so I was like, okay, I'll try to just read it to myself. And that didn't really work for me either. Section has been the only one that I've vastly struggled with. It's time for the nightly update, and honestly I didn't really take that many notes. I read 73 pages, getting me to, I think it was like 14%. I did take a 10-minute nap in the middle of reading in this most recent sprint because I was getting sleepy, but luckily I'm about to have some dinner. But the opening paragraph took me right back to this universe. It just feels so dystopian. When I read that, I was like, oh my gosh, I remember reading this. I remembered it, which is great. But I do have the question of, in the early 2010s, I think this was published in 2013, why were dystopian books so popular? I know back in like the 80s, we see a lot of music videos where they're in like a nuclear wasteland. Obviously, we were in the middle of the Cold War, near the end of the Cold War at that time, so that makes sense. But in like 2014, why did we have this surplus of dystopian books? I'm not sure. If you know or have a theory, let me know in the comments. And in chapter 2, I was wondering when they are taking their aptitude test, they get, and I think they drink it, but do they, Tori, who is the tester, the administrator, is she seeing what is going on in Beatrice's head in that dream sequence? I do think the answer is yes, which I think that is very interesting technology right there. And I'm starting to think of what are the themes of Divergent, and I'm thinking it's individuality. Also, I didn't write this down as a note, this does read more adult than the Hunger Games, as there is religion mentioned, there are kind of like sexual instances mentioned, when in the Hunger Games is also young adult. We don't have those mentions, but the Hunger Games I think takes a lot more brain power to understand, at least at this point, which again is only 14% of the way into a book. And lastly, what faction would you guys be in? I think I would be the abnegation, but right now we are seeing Trish is going through the initiation process with the Dauntless. I feel like that's like, I feel like it didn't say anything about that on the blurb, but like I feel like we all know that. But yeah, so she's going through the initiation process, going through these trials to see if she does fit in with the faction that she ended up choosing. It is Tuesday. I was outside going to bring the trash can back in, and I saw that the mailman was just leaving the street, and I had a package. This was all that was in the mail. I have not ordered anything from Thrift Books. I ordered a book that got here yesterday. I haven't opened that. That will be in one of my short form contents, but I do know that I am expecting something from one of y'all, from I think Daphne. If I'm mispronouncing your name, let me know, because for the longest time I thought your name like was something else on there, and then I was like, oh, I think it's Daphne, because it's spelled differently than like Daphne on Scooby-Doo. So this is from Thrift Books, coming from Dallas, Texas. It does not say the weight. Now I know from people I watch on TikTok, the Thrift Book bags usually don't have notes. So if this is from one of y'all, and if there's no note, let me know in the comments, because I would like to thank y'all there as well. But obviously, I'm thanking y'all in the video as well. Okay, what is it going to be? It is a book, obviously. Okay, I don't see a note. Oh, this is like a retired library book. This is Like a Love Story by Abdi Naisman. I love the acetate covers, like nostalgia to being, you know, going to the library. It's 1989 in New York City. For 3 teens, the world is changing. This is a big-hearted, sprawling epic about friendship and love and the revolutionary act of living life to the fullest in the face of impossible odds. And I think this is young adult. Oh my gosh, look at them, they're so cute. So if this is from you, whoever you might be, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And like, as I said, I love the retired library book. Like, I love the noise it makes. It's from East Side Branch, Lexington Public Library. I love that. And this is a book I've been wanting to read for years. Let's see what year it was published, actually. I think it's going to be like 2018, 2019. So I've been wanting to read this for a long time. So again, just thank you to whoever sent this book my way. I I'm so happy. It's so beautiful, and it seems like it's going to be like a great heartwarming story with a lot of representation. And oh my gosh, there's a mosquito. But thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So let me know in the comments. No pressure if it's from you. I have gotten a third of the way into Divergent. I only have 3 notes. First one is a theory. So Al is one of the characters. He is another initiate, I guess, in the faction that Trish is in, and I think he's gonna end up being factionalist because he is just losing at everything, and I think that she's gonna come across him in one of the later books, and it's gonna be like one of those moments where it's like, whoa, look how far I've gone, look how low you are. I know that sounds really bad, but this is going by really fast. I read 70 pages today, getting me to chapter 16. And just with this being a tome, I didn't expect it to read as fast as it is. And it's not like the chapters are super short either. They're generally around like 12 pages, which is going on the lengthier side for me. 15 is, don't do chapters over 15 pages. One of them was today, but don't do that. But with this writing style, since this is young adult, it is fairly easier to read than if I was reading like an adult sci-fi book. Last note is that 4s, I first said kindness because I couldn't remember the word that I was thinking, but it was compassion. That has stood out to me compared to Eric, and I think it's so obvious that he came from another faction, but that is not confirmed. I do not know if he has, but it just seems very obvious that way. And then I loved how chapter 15 ended because I could just see it building towards that. I'm like, yes, 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 this is where it's going. And sure enough, that was the last line of the chapter. So this has given me 3-star vibes where I'm really enjoying this world. The characters, they have potential. I'm really surprised that Trish isn't a Mary Sue or like a chosen one. She doesn't really have that vibe to her. The writing, again, easy, accessible to read. The plot is where I'm like, wow, this has been a quarter of the book. It's just going through this initiation phase. That's kind of shocking to me that it's taken that much time, but it does move fast. The pacing is like, it's fast to read. A good time, but it's definitely not like my Hunger Games reread. I've gotten to 76% in The Secret Life of Bees by Sue Monk Kidd. So I want to go over just some of my thoughts. I'm going to do it more in a call pal way since I did start this book on the weekend, so y'all haven't been able to hear 75% of my thoughts. The characters, I do love them. We have our main character, Lily, who she is coming of age and is really being awakened to what the real world is like and what the world outside of her home is like. This is set in the 1960s and mid-1960s in South Carolina. The 1960s were so wild. There's one instance in here, I don't think I had the page written down, but the 60s were a wild time. It's chapter 9, by the way, where it's saying everything that's happening. Like, there's Martin Luther King, the Apollo missions. I remember those 2 were mentioned. I'm like, in Vietnam. That's a lot happening at once. I know we live in crazy times as well, but I can't imagine coming of age in the time that she is. Then we have Rosaline, who is like her caregiver. And Rosaline is, she brings, like, sense into it because Lily, she's a kid. She's like 14 years old. She is just, she doesn't really have a plan. She thinks she has a plan, but again, she's 14. Like, that's why Rosaline just brings a sense of realism to her, kind of lowering her down, being like, okay, we really have to have a plan because it's odd for me, a black woman, and you, a little white girl, going around. People are going to ask questions. But Rosaline is also like a comic relief where she has a good sense of humor. Like, yeah, she has a good sense of humor. Then we have the Calendar Sisters, or the Boatwright Sisters. They really remind me of Practical Magic. If you like this book, I would suggest reading Betty by Tiffany McDaniel, and also Practical Magic by Alice Hoffman. The 2, I think you'll like those. But the sisters remind me of Practical Magic. Like, they're whimsy. And this book is really, like, just showing all the different kinds of instances of womanhood. I'm getting kind of ahead of myself, but I do love the sister dynamic. Again, very whimsy, and their setting is very whimsy. But I do want to talk about the setting altogether, that it so this is in 64, which my grandmother was my age actually in 1964, so a little older than Lily, would be like double the age of Lily, but and she was living in South Carolina. The South Carolina my grandma talks about in her childhood, this reads just like it. Like, this was my grandma's childhood. No, she didn't. She didn't run away once, but she didn't run away to this extent and all of that. But it's so realistic from the stories that I've heard from my elders. The writing, Sumunk Kid is definitely a good storyteller, and I am glad that I'm doing this as an audiobook. And then the plot is where I'm just kind of like, there's potential here. I love the idea that it says this is a remarkable novel about divine female power, a story that women will share and pass on to their daughters for years to come. I love that. I love that idea. I love that this is a story of womanhood, but when I'm reading it, I'm like, what is it trying to say? That isn't really coming off the page to me. Sure, they have Mary, who they worship, but it doesn't seem like something deeper. It seems like we're just scratching the surface, so I do wish there was a little bit more depth to those themes of womanhood. Y'all know I love I Who Have Never Known Men. I also think that if you like this book, you might like that because there is that theme of womanhood, but I think I Who Have Never Known Men just amplifies that way more than this one is. But still, I do think this is a really good book, and that was low-key like a book review, but I still have 25%. I have gotten to the halfway point in Divergent, and I am so sleepy. I didn't take a nap or even today, but one chapter I did have to skim because it was long, and I was like, I need to get out of this because I have not had any caffeine. But on chapter 16, oh my gosh, I gasped because a character gets attacked, they get stabbed in the eye, and I was not expecting it. It had me shocked. The emotions in that situation were written so well, of just how the characters handled the situation. It was done in a really realistic manner. And in chapter 19, Will has been my favorite in this time reading around. I think Christina was when I originally read the book, and I actually didn't remember that Zoe Kravitz. I've only said Zoe, but one of my friends pronounced it Zoe, so I'm not sure, but I totally forgot that she was in the movie. I don't know who plays Will. All I remember is Shailene Woodley, Ansel Elgort. I don't know. He's canceled. I don't remember his name. It's not Douglas Booth. Who is that guy? He was on The White Lotus. I am not remembering his name. I don't remember his name. I don't remember his name. Is it Ashley Judd? Is she in it? Oh, and then Kate Winslet is in the movie, but her character hasn't been in this, so I don't know if that's in one of the later books. And then in chapter 21, trigger warning for sexual assault. I was not expecting that. Just doesn't really happen in young adult books that I read, so I again wasn't expecting that. But to let y'all know what is going on now that we're at the halfway point, we have gone through the aptitude test day, we've gone through stage 1 of the initiation process, and now the initiates in stage 2 are having to face their fears and overcome cowardice. So that is everything that is happening in Divergent. Again, 3-star vibes. That's why I don't have that many notes to talk about. Like, there are things in here that I really like, but it's not absolutely wowing. Hey guys, happy Thursday. So I have 2 pieces of book mail. One that I ordered myself. I ordered it last week, but today was the day that I got around to opening it. This is the Make Believe, A Memoir of Magic and Madness by Hannah Murray. Hannah Murray is an actress. She was on Skins and Game of Thrones, which Game of Thrones is, oh, she's been other things too, but Game of Thrones is where I was introduced to her. And that's like my all-time favorite show. You can see my poster up there. Love that universe. And she was like in a cult. So from her breakout as a teen actor on the cult TV show Skins, to her critically acclaimed performances in movies, to her role in the smash hit Game of Thrones, Hannah Murray built a career in Hollywood, cracking open her own psychological foundations and pushing her body to its limits. But one day the line between make-believe and reality disappeared. She found herself confined to a psych ward, dangerously in love with the leader of a shadowy wellness organization, and believing in magic. How she got here and how she managed to build her life afterwards is at the heart of this powerful memoir. So I did pick that one up to celebrate reading 100 pages every day last week. And if you're curious what I'm doing now, because I'm not going to buy a book every week that I read 100 pages every day. So for the other months that are my birthday month, I have to hit a cycle. I have to get all my steps, which that number varies season to season. I have to not spend too much time on my phone, not go above my average screen time, which on Monday I did. So that's, at the end of this week, I will not be buying a book. And lastly, I have to read 100 pages. So steps, pages, and screen time. But I did get this package just now, coming from Bellwether Books in McGeesport, Pennsylvania. This is, I'm going to say coming from Daphne, but I don't know. So I'm going to open it. It's a ravioli package, which it's hard to open. It's green. Okay, there is a paper inside, so I want to not show that because I don't know what's written on it, but it's by Alvaro Enrique. It's translated by Natasha Wimmer. What is it? It is Sudden Death. Ooh, I don't really know what this is. Oh, a tennis match in 16th century Rome. This is a story of revolutions, artistic, religious, political, personal, sexual. This story is a fiction and an archive and an oracle. History is a game. History is overturned. Game, set, match. Oh my gosh. That sounds really good. Oh, and Lauren Groff blurb it. And Lauren Groff is one of my top favorite authors and the only author I've met. Oh my gosh. This is, I just saw the word Lombard. Oh my gosh. The oldest written record of the word tennis makes no mention of athletic shoes, rather refers solely to the sport. Where's the author from? Mexico, and he lives in New York City. So is there going to be a note on here? There's no note. There's no note. So I do not know who sent me this. But it says Marketplace Amazon, so it did come through Amazon. So Daphne, let me know. I'm gonna message her and see, but oh my gosh, this sounds so excited. Oh my gosh, I am super excited for this. Y'all know, I saw Rome. I see Galileo. The ball is made from the coveted hair of recently beheaded Anne Boleyn. What? Oh my gosh, this sounds so intriguing. Thank you so much to whoever sent me this, because this and the chapters look so short. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Thank you so much. I am done reading for the day. I got to 69% in Divergent, so I do think it is possible I could finish the book tomorrow, because if you don't know, on weekends I binge read. I plan to read all day, every day of the weekend. So we will have to see how that goes for me, because I also think I could finish The Secret Life of Bees tomorrow as well. But we're here to talk about Divergent and the notes that I took today. We are in stage 3 of the initiation, which is the final stage. And in this stage, they have to go into a simulation of their biggest fears and combat the mental and physical aspects that come with fear. I do think we got some foreshadowing for something that happens in the final book, but once I read that book, that's when I'm going to be able to confirm it, because I'm realizing I do not remember a lot from this book series like I do the Hunger Games. With the Hunger Games, I saw those movies more and just had more experience with that than the Divergent universe. But I am going to have I'm gonna come to terms with all that. Once I finish the book, I will watch the movie. I'm gonna have to find where it's available to stream. I did own the DVD at some point, but at the moment I don't have any device that can play a DVD. I think I still own the DVD, but I would have to look. But then I was thinking more of the themes, because usually with dystopian, it's trying to have a political message. And what I'm coming up with, that an oppressive government strips away identity for control, because we are seeing all these factions, these 5 factions, and then the factionless, and you have to become that faction. You become what they shape you to become. And there are all these essential things that society needs to operate. So that's just what I'm thinking on. I'm going to be pondering on that. And there is a scarred man in these simulations that Trish is having. I think he's going to play an important role because he's come up more than once, so I'm really interested to know who that could be. But let's do the weekly wrap up. I have not finished any books this week, but again, I think I will be able to do that tomorrow. I have hauled 3 books. Thank you to Daphne for gifting me 2 books I'm super excited for, and then my own book purchase that I have here. Love the way it smells. I just have been loving hardbacks lately, especially hardback memoirs. I have read over 100 pages every day this week, so I'm proud of myself for that. And the sneak peek for next week's vlog, so it doesn't have a theme yet. So if you guys have any suggestions that you want to see me do, something that I've done in the past, timing my reading, binge reading, whatever, let me know in the comments, and that is definitely something I can look into. But I'm going to be reading Insurgent, which is the 2nd book in the Divergent series, so I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to go about it. Do I make it a spoilery vlog? Do I do that? Or do I just talk about my mood reads and not talk about Insurgent? I'm not exactly sure. I'm definitely going to have to look into how I did my Hunger Games vlogs last year and see what I did with Catching Fire and all the other books in the series that aren't the first book, because I don't want to spoil the series for y'all, especially in these series where you have to read the books in publication order and chronological order. But that is all. If you made it through this whole video, leave a beachy emoji in the comments below. And as always, comment, rate, and subscribe. And don't forget to ring that notification bell to be notified when all my videos go live. I'll see you in my next one. Bye.